Here in the studio with Thomas Cox, a former college football player at UAB and former college football coach. He's a husband, a father, a mentor, and former CrossFit Games competitor. He's the founder of an amazing hospitality group that encompasses multiple facets of the hospitality and food industry. He began his first business, Mealfit, in 2013 from his kitchen table. Thomas's company is founded on making eating easier and healthier. He feels motivating people through food and lifestyle is the way he can truly impact this world. He's also the owner of Table and Time, a high-touch, full-service catering company that makes even the simplest of events amazing. As a businessman, Thomas has grown a very successful online retail and catering business through his holistic grassroots approach. He saw profits double in each of the first 5 years of business through his knowledge of marketing and customer service. In just 6 years, Thomas has taken Mealfit from an idea on a borrowed laptop to generating millions of dollars. Thomas has also leveraged his business income and has stepped into public speaking, hosting his own podcast, Entrepreneur Dad, and real estate, where he owns multiple apartment units in Tennessee. Any business wants to know how to turn customers into disciples, and Thomas has done this with each of his thriving businesses. Thomas, it is great to have you here with us today.
So glad to be here.
Really appreciate it, and really looking forward to what you have to say, because I really enjoy the content that I see you post and know that you're doing a good job of sharing your faith. You're doing a good job of inspiring and encouraging people, and that's what this show's all about.
Yes, sir. Glad to be here. Anything we can do to help, please let me know.
Well, I definitely appreciate that. And, so first, you're in, obviously, the food industry.
Right.
And, obviously you eat very healthy and exercise.
Right.
I can tell that by looking at you.
Kind of part of the job.
Right. But from that standpoint, you transitioned out of college coaching into this business. What made you get out of college coaching?
Honestly, if I hadn't have been a Christian, I don't know that I would have gotten out of it. Simply because I love my job. Like, I love those kids. I love the competitive aspect of it. And more than as much as anything, my wife loved my job. I was gone a lot, but she loved it because she's a great coach as well. And so we had a lot in common, a lot to talk about. She liked traveling to the games and going. She loved it too. But I love my job, and I had no idea what I was going to do. So loving your job and having no idea what you're going to do lends you to believe that you're going to stay in your job. But I knew that it was something else. I knew that there was something else out there that I should have been doing, and I didn't know what it was. And so I transitioned out of it for a number of reasons. Number one, the main thing was the Holy Spirit led me out of that. Had I not been a Christian, I think I would have stayed. I think I would have stayed in it and kept going. But, the Holy Spirit just led us out of it and led me to a job that I ended up loving. I took a huge pay cut, like 50%, like cut my pay in half overnight. And so I got out of it for the number of reasons. Number one would be we had our second child, and I was missing my kid's life. I felt like I missed the first couple years of my daughter's life, who is now at this age 10. The first 2-3 years of her life, I was gone. I was coaching, and then when I wasn't coaching, I was recruiting, and then it was just a situation where I was gone all the time, and so that was the main reason. And then also, I felt moved to get out of it. So,
well, I definitely understand that, because when I started my own firm in February of 2015, I felt like it was something that God was calling me to do. I felt like there was more in my industry, and just there was a need to make a positive impact in people's lives. And but I also had a 40% reduction in my income starting a new business and really making a lot of transition. So I know what it's like to feel like you're going where God's leading you, but at the same time, initially, it's like, what did I just do?
It's so nerve-wracking. Like, here's the thing that I feel like the Lord did, though. He set us up because I worked a lot in college. And so being a financial guy, you'll appreciate this. So when I turned 18 and I got all my graduation money from graduating from high school, I invested like $500 or $600 in a mutual fund. And then dollar cost averaged the whole time I was in college. Even when I didn't make any money, we did that. And so it built up a little bit of a nest egg. Not that I had to dip into it a whole lot, but me taking a pay cut wasn't a big deal because I had money that I knew I could rely on if a bad situation came up. But when you take that leap of faith or step out on the ledge or whatever your beliefs are, and you take a huge pay cut, it's nerve-wracking. My dad thought I was freaking bonkers because both my parents are in education where it's a steady income, you work till you retire, then you live. All I knew was that I didn't want to coach anymore because I wanted to coach, but I knew that I needed to get out. I wasn't sure what I needed to do. So leaving that, my mom was like, "Hey, yeah, whatever you want to do, son, you'll be fine." My dad thought it was crazy, and so taking that step is hard. But I mean, man, that's what faith's all about.
Absolutely. And I definitely think that sometimes when we take that leap of faith, we've got nowhere to go but to Him.
For sure.
Yeah. So when things are going well and we're having success in whatever it is we're doing, even though we know that it's not where He's calling us to be,
right?
It's easy.
Yeah.
But when you take that leap of faith, you've got to rely on Him. You've got to trust on Him, and you've got to know that if He doesn't show up, like, this isn't going to work.
No doubt. I agree.
So I think that that's extremely important. So with that, from the aspect of coaching, what was so bad about coaching college football? Was it just the travel, or?
It was all of it. Like,
okay.
It was the hours. Like, hours are really, really bad. And here's the thing. When I was at NC State, we were 95, 100 hours a week. I had a guy who was a pro boss. He worked in the NFL. And so he didn't quite make the transition mentally from the NFL. Because here's the thing. In the NFL players go to work at 8 and they go home at 4 or 5. It's a job, just like everything else is a job. And so when they leave, the NFL coaches have to prepare. And so that's why their hours are bonkers. They prepare for 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon to 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. And so he thought that was the way it is. Well, in college, you only get the players 20 hours a week, and 3 hours of that is a game. And so the hours were crazy. Well, then we transitioned, and we moved to Tennessee, and I was at Tennessee Tech, and the hours were better, but it was still a 75, 80-hour-a-week deal. And so the hours were bad. I felt like I was neglecting my family in a way, and I felt like someone else was raising my kids. I've got a buddy that does financial planning for a lot of college pro football coaches. He says far and above the hours in the NFL for overall for NFL coaches are better because they get more off time and things like that. But what was so bad about college football was just all of it. You can take one without the other. Another thing too, after owning my own business, they told you when you could take vacation. There were no sick days. You were sick, you went. Like Jackie had a baby on Monday, or I was coaching a game on Thursday. So the boss or the head coach controls your every move. Like, we took vacations depending on when I was off. I mean, it was just a deal where it controlled you. I think one of the straws that broke the camel's back for me, I was spring recruiting, and I was at Tennessee Tech, which is a great FCS school, which is what we always used to call 1AA. And I saw a guy that was the offensive line coach at Georgia at the time. And we had some commonality because he used to coach at UAB, and I used to play there. And I was like, hey, man, how
was that Neil Calloway?
No, it was not Neil. It was Will Friend.
Okay.
And so when Will was there, I said, hey, how do you like it? Coming from a smaller school, he said, I love it, but, and he hesitated, and he said, it was the middle of May, and he says, I've had one weekend off since signing day in February. I was like, you're crazy. He said, what? I said, what? He said, the only weekend I had off was because Coach Rick, Mark Rick was at Georgia at the time. He said Coach Rick made us take off because he takes everybody on a cruise for spring break. And he made us take the weekend off. And so every weekend from February to the end of May, he had been working or with recruits on the weekend and couldn't make any plans. I did not. If that was the goal, I had the wrong goal in mind. And so I didn't want that because after the second child, I realized that my life, part of my job as a Christian and as a human being is to raise citizens to be the next generation. And I knew that I was not going to raise citizens being away from them all the time because you have to invest time in them. And so, I mean, I think all of those things are what was so bad about college football. Now, I'm not saying that if you coach college football, you're not a good dad.
Right.
That is not the case. But for me and how I wanted to run my life and how I felt led to run my life, that was the best thing for me, is to be out of that lifestyle.
No, that's a good answer, and I do think that it is, in order to be the best of the best in college football. I mean, if you're competing against a Nick Saban or a Kirby Smart, I mean, you're going to work tirelessly.
Right.
There is no stopping, and I do think that it is something that, you know, especially the collegiate level versus the NFL. The collegiate level, you get them to do what you want them to do, or you kick them off the team if they don't follow the rules, they
Right.
break the rules, whatever. NFL, that they're getting paid more than you are. So,
Absolutely.
you know, that's why Saban did not do as well at Miami as he has done, because they've got to follow the process at Alabama.
Right.
They didn't have to follow any process. They got their paycheck. You know, maybe they show up, maybe they play, maybe they don't. Maybe they don't
Right.
feel like it. Maybe they don't want to attend camp, whatever.
Right.
But you're babysitting adults at that point that ought to know better, and some do, some don't. But I think that makes it extremely tough. What would be the number one thing that you would say to college kids after your reflection on college coaching?
The number one thing that I would tell college kids is, because it's to never stop learning. They get to a point, I think, sometimes, and they're like, oh, I'm done with school. I don't have to do any more. No. If you're going to make it, you've got to continue to learn. Whether it be reading, watching things, but you've got to continue to stay on. There's a reason that teachers, every industry out there, makes you go to continuing education. And a lot of times they're not very good, but you've got to continually educate yourself. That would be number one. Number two, I would tell them to live under their means, because most of the time, when you get out of college, you are not in the job that you want to be in. It is the first thing out of college is typically a stepping stone to figure out what you want to do. I was in college. I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to go coach college football. There was no doubt about it. 75% of the people, these college kids, they don't know. And so I would tell them to live under their means, and then use their job to develop what they really, really want to do. I mean, if you want to be a business owner, or you want to make something amazing of your life, don't get stuck in the status quo and just punching the clock. Go figure out how to be amazing. Go figure out to do what you want to do, to live on purpose, to whatever the case may be. But use what you do have, your job that you do have, to work for something bigger, work for something better, to fulfill that life. If you're looking for looking forward to vacation and looking forward to the weekend every weekend, you're in the wrong industry. And so we got to figure out how to get you in the industry that you like Monday. Like, I get so freaking tired of hearing people like, oh, it's Monday. You're right, it is Monday. Monday is awesome, because you get a chance to go can make a bigger difference on Monday in more people's lives and in your life than you can on any other day of the week. And so those are the things I would tell college kids.
Well, I think that's extremely important. And, you know, I was just reflecting yesterday. I got my high school magazine. You know, it's the high school that I graduated from 22 years ago. And it's, you know, all the kids, and they're graduating, they're throwing the caps in the air. And I remember thinking, I thought that I had a lot of things figured out at 18 years old. Like, I'm going off to college, and I've really got a clue about life. I had no clue.
Zero.
And then I got to college, and I knew even less, made a lot of bad decisions, thought I had things figured out when I came out of college, and still knew nothing. So it is that constant learning process. It is, you know, constantly trying to grow, on a daily basis, trying to grow, and never thinking that you've arrived. And I tell people all the time, you got to stay humble, you got to stay hungry, whatever you're doing. But you know, I was talking to my wife the other day, and I've actually just decided to go to Highlands College. I'm going to be going to Highlands College in the fall.
On the evening program?
I am.
Great. That's awesome.
And but again, when I graduated from college, I thought, all right, I'm done with exams. I'm done with you know, the training and the tests and classes. And now I've gone back willingly, you know, multiple exams, you know, accreditation, things of that nature, in order to be better at my profession and then also at life. But when you think that you've got it all figured out, you're going backwards.
Absolutely.
You know, because life is going to pass you by. And so I think that's very important. So the role that you're in now, you obviously get to impact people's lives through the food industry and healthy way of life, eating, exercise, things of that nature. Kind of tell us like what your passion is about that and how you're able to live that out on a daily basis.
I think that the word passion is like super like overused these days as far as like, what are you passionate about? The bottom line is you got to figure out how to make a living, but you got to enjoy how you're doing that. But there's a lot of things about what I do that I don't like. Like there are some, I don't like firing people. I don't love hiring people, but I got to do that. But in our business, the main things that we do 3 things. We feed Highlands College, the traditional school, like the traditional program, which is wonderful. We've had a wonderful relationship with them. We cater and we do meal prep. The meal prep part of what we do has the most impact, Matt, because my goal is to make your life easier. People are going to sacrifice 2 things when they get busy. Number 1, they're going to sacrifice exercise. That's the first thing to go out the window. I'm not going to work out today because of this, or I'm not going to run today because of this, or whatever. That's number 1. Number 2 is food. People suck at planning. The idea of meal planning and the idea of meal prep is very romanticizing because of an Instagram post or a Facebook feed or whatever. But our job is to make your life as a busy dad, a busy mom easier. And so how we do that is with our meal prep meals. We have meals that you can order that are already made. They're already cooked. And you can order those, pick them up once a week. We got like 15 or 16 gyms around the city that you can pick those up at. Or you could order food by the pound, which is great for a family like mine, where I've got a 10, 7, and 3-year-old and a wife, and so that we can pull from the food in bulk and make the meals as large or small as we want to. My job is to keep you out of the drive-through. If I can keep you from coming home from soccer practice and not stopping, knowing that you have food at home that's already cooked, it's going to take you 3 minutes to warm up. I've fulfilled my purpose for that day, because I want to make your life easier and your life healthier from a standpoint of keeping you out of the drive-thru and allowing you to eat real food.
That's good. And I do think that that's extremely important. I mean, most of my meals, I am having lunch appointments. I have breakfast appointments. I try not to have too many meals at night because that takes away from the family. But I mean, I want to know where I can get, a good grilled chicken salad. I want to know where I can get a lean breakfast, things of that nature. I think that eating healthy is extremely important.
Right.
And then exercise is extremely important as well.
Right.
And I mean, it's just, those are 2 things that I'm not willing to sacrifice. But I know that a lot of people, it is like, this is easy, I'm just going to skip the gym today.
For sure.
This is easy, I'm just going to run through whatever fast food place is on the way home. It's going to keep the kids,
satisfied.
Yeah, that they're going to not have a meltdown on the way home from whatever activity. But I think that that's so great that, you have come up with a way to streamline those things and give people great food that, it's not full of all types of unhealthy stuff that they don't need, which a lot of those fast food meals are.
Biggest thing for us is our thought process is we're not paleo, we're not keto, we're not any of those fad things out there. Our thought process is to make real food and to be preservative free, because preservatives, I feel like preservatives and additives are what's hurting us, because it sounds so like Sunday school, but God didn't make that stuff. God made real food. Try to eat as many things with one ingredient as possible. Try to eat things that if it had a face, had a face and a soul, eat it. If it came from the ground, eat it.
Yeah.
Those types of things are the best practices for us if we want to stay on a healthy thought process of how to eat. Because that's one of the things I get all the time. I don't know what to eat. You know what? You're a Google search away from having a totally different lifestyle or having a plan for a totally different lifestyle. And so you saying, I don't know what to eat is not an excuse anymore. 20 years ago, it was a little bit more of an excuse. It took effort to look stuff up. It takes little to no effort. You can take this thing right here and you can look up this phone right here and you can look up anything you want and have a plan at most of the time for free to radically change your life. And so those excuses are null and void these days.
Yeah. So from an exercise standpoint, how often, obviously it's clear that you like to work out a lot.
Right.
How many days a week do you exercise?
If there's 365 days in a year, I'm going to do something 355 of them. I am not of the belief that you take a bunch of days off, but I'm also not of the belief that you work yourself to death every day either. So there are a lot of days where I'll go row for 20 minutes, and there are a lot of days where I'll run for 30 minutes, or where I'll lift heavy for 20 minutes and get warmed up for 10, lift heavy for 20, and be done. Like, I am not of the thought process that you have to go out there and just obliterate your body for an hour every day. But I'm also not of the thought process that you need to take a lot of days off.
Right.
We were made to move. And when we don't move, we get stale, we get old, we get, stove up. Like I told my buddy today, there are times when you do need to take days off. Like, I got a buddy that runs marathons. Day after a marathon, hey, relax.
Yeah.
Sit down. Don't do anything.
You just put in a lot of work.
You just put in a lot of work. But what I'm saying is, like, I am of the belief of doing something every day. Do you have to? I had a friend of mine who's in the fitness industry. He said, get out of breath on purpose and lift something heavy. And if you can get those two things in every other day or every day, I think you'll be fine. So.
That's good. Yeah, I like to do minimum 5 days, but if I can get 7, I want to get 7.
Absolutely.
And I'm trying to get 7
Yeah.
just about every week, because I do think that that's extremely important. And but you got to be intentional about it. Just like anything else, you've got to be intentional with your fitness and the things that you're putting into your body.
Right.
It's extremely important.
For sure.
So somebody is trying to pursue the dream that God's placed in their heart. Somebody's trying to pursue a fresh vision. They're going to take that leap of faith. What would you tell that person that is about to start a new venture? They're thinking about becoming a small business owner.
Right.
Reflecting on your 6 years of business now. What are things that you wish you would have known on the front end, and things to be aware of?
So what I would tell somebody is don't get handcuffed by finances. Don't put yourself in a position or so much leveraged financially that you can't go do things that you want to do. Great example. I had a 24-year-old girl that I was interviewing for a job, and she was super sharp. Good personality, a lot of skills at 24, higher skills than normal for a 24-year-old. And she made $41,000 a year, but she had leveraged herself so much in a $41,000 lifestyle that she couldn't take a pay cut to $32,000 to $35,000 within the hopes and with the very the actuality of making 50 or 55 in 12 months. She couldn't take a cut for 6 to 8 or 9 months in order to make $9,000 or $10,000 more only 9 or 10 months later, because every dime that came in had gone out, whether it be to a retirement or whether it be insurance or a car note or student debt or whatever. So you can't leverage yourself financially. The second thing is you got to find time to be great at what you're doing. Whether you're a financial planner, or you're a caterer, or you're you shoot video for a living, or you're a graphic designer, or you want to design clothes, whatever. You have to eat crap for however many years to perfect that craft and get better at that craft. But also, you got to figure out how to let people know about what you do. I mean, because if I'm I cook great, or I'm a great, caterer or whatever, people have got to figure out that I do that. And so I've got to let them know what I do. So you got to be great at what you're doing, but you also have to figure out how to get your message out there.
That's good advice. And I think that it is extremely important to know that, it's not going to be as glamorous as, people think it's going to be. Running a business and owning a business, there are benefits. There's no doubt.
Right.
But, from the standpoint of being a cakewalk every day just because it's your business, absolutely not true. And there are going to be those days where you wonder, like, did I make a mistake?
Right.
Am I doing the right things? Is this going to work?
Yeah.
And, you got to grind. You got to continue to persevere and, realize that there will be better days to come and overcome those tough days as well.
For you, what is the best thing about owning your own business? Like, what's the number one thing that you went from working for somebody to working for yourself? What's the number one thing for you?
Well, number one, I get to set the vision.
Absolutely.
So I get to determine, what it looks like, our number one goal is to make a positive impact in people's lives.
Right.
And I get to determine how to do that, and, flexibility.
That's it.
I get to determine when I come in, when I set appointments, when I'm meeting with people, and then when I want to do the things that I want to do.
Right.
And as long as I'm serving the people that I'm supposed to be serving, then that flexibility comes along with it.
Right.
But at the same time, if I'm not working, if I'm not growing the business, and I'm not working hard in that business and making sure that the people are being taken care of and the team's growing and all that, then that vision is not going to be fulfilled.
Right.
And also bills still have to be paid, things of that nature. So if I'm not doing it, then it's not getting done.
I like the pressure though.
Yeah.
Like I'm a huge Grant Cardone fan, and I know Grant's got a foul mouth, but I love Grant and the way he teaches people how to do stuff. So one of the things he talks about is living broke, meaning he will take whatever money they earn that week, month, quarter, whatever, and he will take that money and put it in other places so that he sees his accounts or he sees where he is and makes him work harder for whatever it is he's doing. And so I love the competitive nature of it. My wife, about 2 years ago, she walked in and asked me, and she was frustrated because, man, I like to work. I really do. I like working. I like all the different aspects of it. There's some things I don't like. But she walked in, she's like, hey, when is it ever going to be enough? And I think she was talking about money, or I think she was talking about, I don't know what she was really talking about. And I looked at her and I said, I don't know. And then and it hit me about a year later. And I don't know why it hit me, because I went back to that question and I went to her and I said, hey, I've got an answer for your question. And she looks at me like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, you remember about a year ago, you asked me, when is it ever going to be enough? And I said, I got an answer. And she goes, okay. And I was like, it's not. I said, because it's not about the money. It's not about a fame. It's not about a platform. It's about a competitiveness for me. Whether that competitive nature is reaching more people, growing more business, I like to create, and I love helping people. But the creation part of it is something that will I don't know that you ever get rid of that, because there's always something else to create, whether it be, something new with a design or something, some other financial way to help high school teachers achieve their goal, whatever the case may be. I don't know that it's ever going to be enough, because I love competing. And I'll say this, my desire from an athletic standpoint shifted from the athletic competition into this. I think this is now my outlet, as opposed to what it used to be like when I was competing, playing college football, coaching in college football, and even we went through about a 6-year period there where all we did was compete for the CrossFit Games. That's all we did. Like, we would hire babysitters so me and my wife could go work out. And so those types of things, that's why I enjoy what I do. So
that's good. So you just touched on something. You said you love to help people and you love to create. Where does that desire to help people come from?
Okay, so the best thing about owning your own business is people. The worst thing about owning your own business is people. But my desire to help people is I want to make people's lives easier. And I want to fulfill, I love exceeding people's expectations, number one, and I like making people's lives easier, number two. So when I can exceed your expectation from a hospitality standpoint, from a making your life easier standpoint, people are thankful. And there are a lot of great things in this world, but there are a lot of bad things in this world too. People get burned and people don't trust as much these days. But if I can get someone's trust and I can fulfill that trust and maybe even exceed that trust, then I feel like I've done something. I love the hospitality thought. Like, I love having people at our home. We bought a bigger home than we should have bought. We bought a bigger home than we're used to. But the reason we bought a bigger home is because I like having people in my house. I like having someone come, from Tennessee going to the beach and saying, yeah, come stay with us and break up the trip, or come eat here, or come have the such and such team come over to swim or whatever. And so I like serving people and helping people. Because I don't know, I guess it's just in me. It's in my mom and it's in my dad. Probably more so in my dad than my mom. My dad's like, oh, let's get you something to eat. Let's make sure you're okay. Everything. That's my dad. And so I love that aspect of it too. So I think that's what that is.
Yeah. Well, I would think that, that servant heart comes from your faith as well.
For sure.
And, as followers of Christ, we want to serve because that's what Jesus did.
Right.
At the end of the day, knowing that he came here and he served the entire time he was here, to model that behavior. I think that's obviously something that's extremely important. And I think that, that's reflected in a lot of the things that you put out there. A lot of the things that you post on social media or where you're trying to add value to people. I think that reflects, what you believe.
I appreciate that. And I think that a lot of the people that talk about serving other people, you're 100% right. It is a biblical principle. I think it was Zig Ziglar said, if you help people get exactly what they want, you will in turn have more than enough for yourself. I probably butchered that, but you understand the gist of it. That's biblical. Like doing to others, you have them doing to you, and don't walk a mile, walk a second mile. I mean, there are so many biblical principles in the thought of serving people, in the thought of hospitality, in all of those different things. There are so many biblical principles in that. There's no doubt that everything that we do from a faith standpoint, everything that I do has a root in a faith standpoint, just simply because it's who I am. It's not what I do. It's not. I don't read my Bible in the morning. That's who I am. And so separating that, I don't think you really can say. I don't think you can really separate that from who people are that are truly ingrained with loving Jesus. So
it's awesome.
Yep.
Well, I've really enjoyed this today, Thomas. I appreciate you being here. I know that this is going to help people. I know It's going to encourage them. I know it's going to inspire them. And so we just hope that you guys have enjoyed it as much as we have, and check us out next time.